It is the moment you've been waiting for. Class 3A first round picks are here. 3A has not played a playoff game yet. I just got done recording 8-man through 2A. So if you have any interest in those, be sure to go check out those too. We're going to have 4A, 5A coming out too. And 3A is just going to be a ton of fun. There's been so much action all year, and I'm just super excited to get into this. I got my Class 3A rankers picks right in front of me, and we are going to get right into it. Before we do, though, again, my name is Cade Nissen. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to IU Sports, support what we do. We're trying to do something different, and I believe that's what this is right here. Where are we now, though? 16 teams remain. You win your pod, and you're off to Cedar Falls. The pod is what you replace in Saturday morning, and if you make the dome, you'll be reseeded once you get there. It's not really a true bracket, but it kind of is for the most part. So moving on to pod A right here. Harlan, Creston, Nevada, Webster City. 3 teams from the same district in this pod. Probably not very happy with their draw, but nevertheless, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Starting with Creston and Harlan, these two had a very close battle, 25-22 win for Creston, but these are really 2 different teams this time around. Creston seems to me a very put together and confident team, but nonetheless, this will probably end up being one of the most interesting round 1 games. Again, in my personal opinion, not even in our 3A rankers, I think Harlan is a sleeping giant. I just would not want to see them right away. Creston has to, especially with Creston having success over Harlan previously. You know Harlan's going to game plan. You know how well they're coached they are, how just incredible of a program they are. That's a really tough first draw for Creston, but in the end, Creston, it kind of feels like a team of destiny at this point. The only undefeated team remaining in Class 3A and our ranker is going with the Panthers to continue their undefeated season to this point. Moving on, Webster City, Nevada. 2 rush-heavy teams go head-to-head in what is sure to be a battle of the trenches. Case and Stevenson and Jackson Cherry headline this one. 2 of the most talented running backs in the entire state. But our ranker says he thinks Nevada has an edge here with Connor King at quarterback, a little bit more of a dual threat opportunity. King has been sensational this year, and Kingsbury's ability to make incredible plays will be a huge task for the Webster City defense. So our ranker is going with a little bit of a mini upset here. Nevada on the road, going to Webster City and taking down the Lynx. That would set up a rematch from week 7 or 8 where Creston beat Nevada. So again, Creston could go district again here in the postseason to get to the Dome. I'd be interested to see what their thoughts are on that, whether they like that or whether they don't, because they've had success. But at the same time, you don't like trying to beat a good team twice. It's a really tough thing to do in football. Nevertheless, that might be what they have to do. Moving on, though, Pod B, Fort Madison and Solon, and then West Delaware and Assumption. Starting with that top matchup, our ranker is kind of keeping it short and simple. You still believe Solon is one of the top teams in the state. This team has one of the best defenses in the class, and although their offensive production isn't quite at a Creston level, this is still a team that can definitely beat a last-second field team in Fort Madison. A good draw for Solon here, drawing a wild card team, and really our ranker is just at the end just going with the Spartans to win on their home turf. This is one of the better teams in Class 3A, obviously, and he thinks they'll get it done in round 1. Moving on, West Delaware and Assumption. Very tough draw for West Delaware, who's coming off a district title over Independence. Assumption might be one of the better runner-ups, and I think they're one of the better teams that has to play on the road in the postseason. Angelo Jackson, Jake Timmons are just a tough 1-2 duo over there in Davenport. We talked about that a lot, and this could easily shake up a bracket and get some big upsets. And our ranker is picking the upset, if you'd call it here, Assumption to win over West Delaware. If you go by our IF football rankings, that's not much of an upset, but they are playing on the road against a district champion. You have to take into that account. So in the end, I probably would call that a little bit of an upset, Assumption and West Delaware. Moving on to Pod C, though, this one's got some fireworks. Williamsburg hosting Humboldt and Mount Vernon and Independence. Starting from the top, apart from their single loss to Solon, the Raiders have looked like the best team in the class. Humboldt, though, I think they're the 1-5-4 team to get in. Obviously, playing in that tough district, they've had some extremely tough competition. They're going to know how to play against really, really good teams. In the end, though, our ranker does think it's the Raiders to move on. I'm sorry, I don't know why Humboldt popped up twice there. That was my mistake making this graphic. I made 7 bracket graphics today, so a ton of work. But nevertheless, Berg moving on is what our ranker has. Moving on, Independence, Mount Vernon. The Mustangs, I guess you can't say the Mustangs because they're both the Mustangs. Independence kind of lost the district title at the last second, so now they got to go on the road against a really good Mount Vernon team, a team that was in the state title game last year. A very good quarterback battle in Joey Romberg and EJ Miller. Our ranker is going with the team with a little bit more postseason experience in Mount Vernon. And that would set up a really, really fun matchup between Mount Vernon and Williamsburg to go to the Dome. So that's how our ranker seeds Pod C. Moving on to Pod D, though, our final one, Algona and Sioux Center, Clear Lake, Bishop Heelan. Two teams from the District of Death and two other teams from another district. So you got the, two districts kind of combining here in this one. Starting with Sioux Center, Algona. Our ranker says he thinks Algona could be one of the most underrated teams in this bracket. They have 3 losses, some of the best teams in the class in their tough district, as we talked about plenty of times, but also a pretty impressive win over Humboldt. Alex Mansky could easily take over this game and get a huge first-round win on the road. Sioux Center's defense has been stout, but our ranker is going with the upset here. He's taking Algona in the star power and Alex Mansky to get it done and prove that the District of Death is one to be feared. Moving on, Heelan and Clear Lake, with just 1 loss to a very talented and underrated Humboldt team. The Lions still look like a very strong competitor for the state title. Again, the winner of the District of Death needs to be taken into account, and our ranker is going with Clear Lake to beat Heelan. Heelan finished runner-up to Sioux Center. So you got 2 District of Death teams winning, and this one over 2 district teams in the same district. Again, Heelan, Sioux Center finishing 1 and 2 in their respective district, but our ranker is going with Algona and Clear Lake to match up. And those 2 teams played in an instant classic this year, so that would be a ton of fun to see that one revitalize again to head to the Dome. But that's all I got for Class 3A. In and out, we got it done in like 7 minutes, so proud of that. Our rankers did a great job of writing me picks and some insight. Interested to see what you guys think. Drop a comment. What do you think we missed on? What do you think we hit on? And who's a scary team heading into the postseason? There's a ton of them, and really 3A is one where you could see a team from out of nowhere going on a run and making the Dome. So, again, my name is Cadenus, and I appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Be sure to check out the rest of the videos. Subscribe to IA Sports and Class 3A fans. I'll catch you next week.